The formal invitation to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is extended and accepted in Happy Valley. Next stop, Atlanta to face Ole Miss. Olu Fashanu is in rare company when it comes to postseason awards. Why some NFL experts have him projected as the 5th overall pick in the upcoming draft. And it's a special scouting report with the keys to winning a bowl game. Our coaches show us how the first play from scrimmage in the 1980 Fiesta Bowl went all the way for a long touchdown run by Kurt Warner. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. The coordinator carousel continues to spin. So James Franklin has to add defensive coordinator on his shopping list. It's mid-December. What is on a coach's to-do list this time of year?
Well, with the December signing day, finish the recruiting class, make sure your guys get through finals unscathed, and then you get ready for the bowl game. And because the signing day comes, now you're on to the bowl game full time.
Yeah, as you get ready for the bowl game, everybody wants to focus in on, what are we doing? What's the game plan? What's this? There's fundamentals to take care of. You want to keep continually working on your fundamental skills, blocking, tackling, just the basics.
All right, well, I didn't hear a ton of rest and relaxation in there. Not exactly home for the holidays just yet. We discuss who's going, who's staying, what it takes for bowl game success, and why offensive tackle Olu Fashanu is in rare company when it comes to Penn State history in our opening drive. Well, I had a feeling the way he was soaking up the senior day post-game atmosphere, Manny Diaz had the look of someone at Beaver Stadium for the final time with Penn State. And when you look at the results that he delivered in the 2 years while he was here, it's no surprise that Duke wanted him.
No, and it's funny, when you showed me that clip a couple of weeks ago, I said, that looks like a guy who's contemplating that he might not be back. And, look, he was head coach of Miami. He's got that experience. This is a good move for him, because as a trustee, I heard from people, well, you got to do whatever you can to keep him. You can't make people stay if they want to go be a head coach. So we wish him all the best of luck at Duke.
Yeah, he's done a great job as defensive coordinator at Penn State, and now it's his time. He wants to be a head coach. He was a head coach at Miami. He's getting another shot at Duke. And, hey, Duke's a great university, too.
Yeah, look, Coach Franklin has said he doesn't mind if those coordinators leave for those head coach positions. And for Manny Diaz, the experience that you got at Miami, you then parlay that with the experience you got under Coach Franklin and take some of the things, right, at every place that you go and you move on. His defense only allows 223 yards per game. That's best in the country. A little over 11 points for the opponent's average, third lowest. A lower profile at Duke. He's ready to keep the Blue Devils aligned.
But this program is not going to be about me. This is going to be about us, starting in the locker room and everybody else. In college football, alignment wins. And the most aligned staffs, the most aligned universities, the most aligned booster groups, when everybody's pulling in the same direction, okay, those teams win.
Diaz is a defensive guy, of course. First order of business, though, is to find a suitable starting quarterback to replace Riley Leonard, who enters the transfer portal and lands in South Bend with Notre Dame. On the offensive side of the ball, Jay, this is footage of Theo Johnson, and the Nittany Lions will say goodbye to their junior tight end. He's going to play in the Peach Bowl and then prepare for the upcoming NFL draft.
Well, guys now are looking at it and saying, I got to take my shot when I got it. I've got a good draft rating. And as you start to look at it, the guys that come back, if they want to play for a national championship, you're looking at 16 or 17 games now. So you say, you know what? It might be time for me to go, and that's going to be a long season for guys next year.
Penn State has on quite a run of good tight ends for sure. You saw one in Pat Fryermuth in Pittsburgh, Tom. This is, they're churning them out here and sending them to the NFL.
He's getting better every year he plays, too.
Yeah. And Tom, look, they lose their D coordinator and standout tight end, but the special teams gets a boost. Punter Riley Thompson announces he has some extra eligibility, and he's going to be back in Happy Valley. What kind of boost can that give a special teams unit when your punter returns?
That is one of the great boosts, because what happens is now they know they got their punter. They're not worried about a guy going in to kick for the first time. They're not going to be worried about what could happen. They've got a guy who's done it and done it very well.
Well, it's postseason awards time. One of the things about December we didn't talk about is the award shows and all the All-American teams come out. And Olu Fashanu is really cleaning up. Really going to have a lot of All-American awards on his mantle, Tom.
You know what's great? You're happy for him, but as a coach, you're like, darn, does he have to go? Can he just hang around another year? It's hard to get a great offensive lineman, and when you get him, you just want to keep him forever.
And you mentioned hanging around another year. He did do that. He came back for that supply chain management degree him and his parents discussed, because, Tom, he could have been a first-round draft pick last year. Now they're projecting him as high as number 5 overall. So what are some of the qualities and some of the things you see in an offensive lineman, that takes them to a level like that for that kind of projection?
Everybody looks at their first thing they look at is the physicality. Then they're going to look at his feet and his athleticism. He's a heck of a good pass blocker. He can knock people off the ball. He's very mobile. So, he's a guy that you can put, they're not going to be afraid to put him out there by himself against some of the better pass rushers in the NFL.
So, look, at some point there's going to be another game, and the officials at the Peach Bowl could not be more excited to have Penn State and Nittany Lions fans flying south in the winter to Hotlanta. Earlier this week, a formal invitation to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is extended to PSU in Happy Valley. That's service. You do it personally. They bring the invite and breakfast sandwiches for everyone. Nice gesture to be there in person. And considering the long history of PSU, pretty cool. It's their first time in the Peach.
Bowl games are really, really special. They give you a great opportunity not only to get more practices in, but it's a reward for the student athletes for how hard they work. And nowadays they work 12 months a year. And so we're really excited to be going to Atlanta. I think the fact that this will be we will close out the New Year's Six is pretty remarkable. The rose, the cotton, the peach, the sugar, the orange, and Fiesta, Penn State has played them in all. I think that tells you exactly what our program is about.
Yeah, that is quite a run. Of course, Penn State has won every one of those other bowl games. A win over Ole Miss is the only thing missing. Kickoff is Saturday, December 30th at noon. Still to come, our scouting report. Love this concept. Our coaches break down some successful plays from bowl victories of the past and give us the keys to victory in that final game of the season. You're watching Nittany Game Week.
Opening Drive is sponsored by your local Ford store. Visit buyfordnow.com today.
Now, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Our coaches have told us the past couple of weeks, be careful about peaking too early when it comes to bowl game prep. Now, you don't want to get the guys bored, and the same thing applies to our loyal viewers. We want to keep this scouting report interesting. A lot of success winning bowl games in Penn State history. So Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley are going down memory lane to give us the winning formula. What do you got, guys?
Well, we're going to have some fun. Bowl games become great memories, but it's how you get those bowl wins that really matter. And we'll talk about some of the keys. So let's take a look at some of the keys. Number one, in that month, remain good at your base plays. Put in some wrinkles that are a little different. Be organized on game day because it saves timeouts. Find your advantage, exploit it. A couple more things on the next slide here. Be ready for game speed. So you got to go a lot of one-on-ones. Get your kicking game and avoid turnovers, Tom.
Well, I think the two most important things is get ready for game speed, and everybody forgets about the kicking game, which there will be some big plays in the kicking game if you're not prepared.
Well, let's talk about game speed with our first play. This is the 1980 Fiesta Bowl. Penn State playing Ohio State. Power play was a base bread and butter play, pulling the guard, kicking out. Kurt Warner's your tailback, Booker Moore, Todd Blackledge, all kinds of talent in this one. But take a look at this cutback, Tom, and talk us through. This is a base play where you just come off the ball and knock them back. And
Well,
this is the
look
first.
Look at the line coming off the ball. First
No question. And then look at this acceleration. And people forget about how good Kurt Warner was. But when you look at this, this was the first play from scrimmage in the game. So let's talk about the next thing we want to talk about. Okay, couple wrinkles. Here is an outside linebacker on the tight end. Defensive back Gary Brown, who then became a running back the next year. This offensive tackle is thinking he's blitzing, doesn't think he's coming. He's a little bit late getting out. Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer, Tom.
Yeah, I tell you, that's one of the great things when everybody forgets Gary Brown. They think of Demoy as a great running back. Look at him rush the passer here and take this ball off the quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, and score it just the way we drew it up.
And by the way, that was the Outland
defense.
Trophy winner as the best lineman in the country. He beat on that. And Joe had a few words.
Don't you remember us practicing that?
Yes, but I remember Joe saying a few things about that post-touchdown celebration. Now,
Yes, he did.
we talk about saving your timeouts. Here's the situation. End of the half, 42 seconds to go. Florida State has the ball. Penn State has all three timeouts. If they have used one in that half, They never get the ball back. Scott Paxson makes a great play to set us up on first down, Tom.
Yeah, he sure does, and I think that's the thing that got it all started. We didn't have to waste any timeouts and enabled our offense to be able to use them.
So we get the ball back with 17 seconds to go, and now we're going to throw the ball out of bounds without a timeout. Jordan Norwood is smart, gets the ball, gets out of bounds. They stop the clock. We get the ball at the 25. Mike Robinson adjusts the pass protection so he can throw with the blitz in his face, throws it out to Easton Kilmer. But if Penn State doesn't have the timeouts, that play never happens. Now, we talk about finding an advantage. Okay, Penn State played Tennessee a year later in the bowl game. We knew we had an advantage when we got in a bunch because Tennessee was going to declare this guy either outside the tight end here or inside the tight end. The quarterback knew at the line of scrimmage, they're inside, we run outside. They're outside, we run inside. And here the guy from Tennessee's inside. And Tom, you saw Tony Hunt a bunch.
Yeah,
he was hard to tackle.
An awful lot of practice. He was a handful.
Yeah, and again, there's the inside. They reach him. The tight end, the fullback lead to the edge, and Tony gets outside, carried the ball about 30 times that game. Then, being organized and knowing your stuff, taking your shots when you have a chance. Here, Penn State's in empty. We have the protection swung that way. We know the hot blitz is coming here. We know that these are your hot throws. The two red lines are hot throws off the hot blitz. And the quarterback does a good job catching this and getting this ball out, Tom.
Hey, listen, if you're going to get after him, you better get home with that blitz right there, which they didn't. And it's a great throw and catch here.
Yep, and Deion Butler was a pretty good player to throw it up to if you're going to throw up the hot. And let's go to another play, two more plays we've got for you. We talk about game speed, not much to talk about other than the safety that's off the screen over there. Totally misjudged Saquon Barkley's speed in this one. You can see it on this one. When he comes up here, he's coming downhill, Tom, and you know that's a lonely
that's one
feeling.
of the things we talked about earlier was when you practice, you got to practice good on good to make sure you're used to game speed. That's a bad angle.
Yep, and if he had any, again, that's one of the things about bowl games. You see guys you haven't seen all year, and all of a sudden, oh my God, he can run. Okay, last thing we talk about big plays. Your bread and butter play. Penn State loved this wideout screen. Here they're going to fake the wideout screen to try and get a big play. He comes in and pretends like he's blocking. The Utah safety comes down and
he gets fooled, as they say.
Yes, fooled. And again, this is an 88-yard touchdown pass. Again, get the safety to bite, throw it over the top. And these are the kind of things that this blew the game open. And that was all she wrote for the Utah Utes. And with that, we'll head it back over to Todd.
Awesome. Might be my favorite scouting report ever. How can you not enjoy watching Kurt Warner from 1980? So incredibly talented. Well, earlier in the show, we showed you the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl officials in Happy Valley to extend a formal invite. Of course, they do the same for the Rebels of Ole Miss.
Obviously a very historic bowl and a lot of tradition there. A great matchup, as you mentioned. And for us, maybe no better city to go to than Atlanta for our fan base. And we feel like we're going to ascend on Atlanta and take over Atlanta. So we're really excited about that and certainly want to come down and put on a great showing for Ole Miss and Rebel Nation.
Did you hear that? The gauntlet laid down, Penn State fans. Ole Miss fans going to try and take over the city? Well, these are two fan bases that know how to support their team on the road and have a blast while doing so. Going to be a fun time in Hotlanta. Don't go anywhere. You are about to hear from the voice of the Nittany Lions. We'll talk with play-by-play man Steve Jones to find out what stands out to him about the 2023 Penn State squad, some of the best bowl games he has ever called, some of his favorite all-time calls. And a little later, the college football playoff expands next year. The Pride Pick playoffs are underway, and these are some of your contenders. We'll tell you how you can vote and help decide this year's winners. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week, our Impact Interview. Well, it's not really an interview at all. It's really a conversation with an old friend, Steve Jones, the voice of the Nittany Lions football and men's basketball teams. And, of course, he hosts the Steve Jones Show, which covers all sports nationally and airs both on stations in Pennsylvania and also on the web. Steve Jones, when you heard you're going to talk to me, I know you were excited, but guess what? It's a bonus. You got Tom and Jay here as well.
The gang is all back together again. Let's have some fun.
We are indeed. All right, so we're gonna start here. They've been to the Rose Bowl, the Fiesta, the Cotton, the Sugar, the Orange. You've seen a bunch of them as you go of Penn State's wins in those games. Which one sticks out to you maybe the most, or one or two? Give us the ones that really jump out to you.
The ones that jump out to me would be the Orange Bowl game in 2005. These are the games I've done in broadcast. Obviously, the 86 Fiesta Bowl and the 82, 83 Sugar Bowl, the coup de grace, they're national champions. But the games I've done, the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, which went triple overtime, and Joe was on the field after the game accepting the trophy and said it's past his bedtime. And I thought to myself, it's past everybody's bedtime, which was phenomenal because Michael Robinson made some great plays in that game, and there were great catches, and I mean everything. Ethan Kilmer made a phenomenal catch in the end zone. It was an incredible night. And then last year's Rose Bowl game, there's something about being at the Rose Bowl. And Jay knows, you go out, and Scrap, you go out there in the Rose Bowl and you look around and you see the San Gabriels and you think of all the games that you watched on TV, and now you get a chance to broadcast the game. And then suddenly you're sitting there and you're looking around, and Penn State has a chance to win the Rose Bowl. And with 9 minutes to go, I knew they were going to win the game. And that's a fun feeling down the stretch of a game like that in a setting like that, because it is a setting that Hollywood cannot duplicate.
So let's shift gears for a second before we get back to football. We'll talk a little quick basketball. Now that football's winding down, great season. You're getting started basketball. So Mike Rhodes went Urban Meyer on Ohio State, down 18, comes back, wins the game. And this is a team, a couple plays, really is just a couple of buckets from being 2-0 in the Big Ten. What should excite Penn State fans right now, and what might keep them up at night as you look to the rest of the year?
Well, the fact is they're finally showing signs of coming together as a team. That's the big part that should excite everybody. And the part that should also have them have pause about what's going on is that they're still coming together as a team. I mean, it's pro and con when it comes to that, because you have 10 new players on the team. It's not the way you typically build a team. It's the only choice Mike had to build it. But they needed to get their better players to play like they're better players. And so Zach Hicks stepped up, and he had 11 points, and he had 3 trades. Ace Baldwin hit a 3 right when they needed it to give them the lead 79-76. Kanye Clary had a big night from the field, made some acrobatic plays, which was huge. And they were able to get Leo O'Boyle to go out and score 15. And DeMarco Dunn came off the bench with a career-high 16. So finally, their better players collectively started playing like they're better players. And I think that made a big difference. And that's where people should have hope, seeing a team come together, because some of the players have been slumping, not quite know how to work together. And now they come through with this stretch. They outscored Ohio State 46-25 in the final 15-31. And it's a big relief for them to be 1-1 right now, because the way the schedule is set up in the Big Ten, you play those 2 games in December. You don't want to go for 3.5 weeks 0-2, which is what, for example, Michigan State's going through.
Hey, Steve, tough question for you here. National championship game on the line, 1 drive to go. You can pick any Penn State quarterback to lead that drive. Who you got?
Kerry Collins, because I've seen him do it before. I mean, you always got to sit back and say, okay, who have I seen it do in the clutch? And there have been a lot of guys along the way that have been able to get it done in the clutch. If you've seen it, got it done in the clutch. Huffnagel did. Todd Blackledge obviously did. But, when you think back on that Illinois game, which was so perfectly crafted at the end, where Penn State was able to go down the field in the clutch and make plays when they had to, because Joe had said all season long, I won't really know a complete look at this football team until I see how they handle adversity. And on that day at Illinois and Champaign, they faced adversity, and they were able in the clutch to get it done. And that's that kind of 96-yard championship drive that has a DNA to it that's different.
Always a treat to talk and reminisce with Steve. He's a true pro, I tell you, every single time. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. we will continue our interview. So if you want to see the entire conversation with the voice of the Nittany Lions, Steve Jones, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview along with other web exclusive content. And just ahead, a special scrap medal as we honor a guy wrapping up an amazing career at the highest level. Tom hands out the hardware. When we come back, we're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are In, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit thewearein.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
Come up with some cool ideas on these bye weeks, a bowl games of the past scouting report, and Tom, well, a scrap medal to recognize a Nittany Lion who's calling it a career.
We're going to give our scrap medal to Robbie Goode, who played 18 years in the NFL, Lock Haven, Pennsylvania native. He had 447 field goals, 1,961 points. But here's the stat that most people don't know. In the postseason, he was 29 for 29 in field goals and 31 for 31 in extra points. His field goal average was 86.5 for his career.
10th all time in scoring in the NFL.
When it matters the most, he never missed, and,
No.
and doing a lot more than that.
Oh,
off the
and
field.
in his hometown of Lock Haven's done a lot of things with Little League fields and supporting the community, and he's beloved in that town.
In addition to a television show, we are bringing Nittany Lions together with our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, connecting businesses that support the show with our viewers. Our goal is always to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. And if you haven't noticed yet, we have a lot more to share with you when it comes to college football, and it doesn't all fit into this 30-minute window. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web exclusive content. Pride Picks, Jay. Give us the Pride Picks playoff breakdown.
Round 1 ends this Tuesday, the 19th of December. Get your votes in. Already almost 20,000 votes cast on the site. It is heated. So if you get on there, if you've got a favorite, get voting.
And winner goes on the Happy Valley Cruise. So
the winner of the first round goes to the finals, and the finalist, the guy that wins, the person that wins the finals, they're going cruising.
There's certainly a lot of incentive there.
Yeah.
Okay, help us decide the winners by voting at NittanyGameWeek.com. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.